Hello, back on the road again. About to get in, see what's on this reef over in the Sprat Hall area, St Croix. I'm gonna go down this little treacherous route here. Pray for me. Oh, that hurts.
I've never visited this particular site before, so as I begin my swim out from shore, I take a peek beneath me every few minutes to determine when it's time to descend. I did about a good 15-minute kick out. As I hit the end of the reef shelf where you see that stingray hanging out in the sand, you have that separation, then begins the feel of seagrass. We're getting closer. After swimming past the field of seagrass, I find a shipwreck sitting in the sand. Point 1 for Salty Locs. Seeing that I picked a random spot on the road to dive from, this is not at all what I was expecting today, but a very welcome sighting. My first observation, there are tons of barracuda at this site. It's not what I'm looking for today, but you never know. One of them could end up on the menu. The high point of this shipwreck is pretty shallow. I want to say it's at about 23 feet, while the bottom lies at roughly 45 feet. Oh, look, a lionfish. Check it out at the top left corner of the opening. That Spanish hogfish must have told him what's up, because as quickly as I found him is as quickly as he disappeared from my view. Where did you go? And as gear goes, somehow the band of my Lionata post bear decides that now is the best time to pop. This shipwreck is quite impressive. It's layered with all sorts of life encrusted on its shell. Exactly why artificial reefs are created. I didn't notice when I started this dive, but I'm all about learning and taking you on that journey with me. So this shipwreck is called Northwind Tug. The band isn't broken, I'll just have to retie it. For now, let's just make a simple tie. The Northwind tugboat was used as a prop and made an appearance in the movie Dreams of Gold, the Mel Fisher story. Although it's not filled with colorful coral, the sand is loaded with life. Various marine animals traverse over the countless grain throughout the day, and hundreds more call it home. All those little black lines you see peeking out of the sand are garden eels. These small eels live in burrows on the seafloor and get their name from the behavior of poking their heads from their burrows while most of their body remain hidden. Since they tend to live in groups, the many eel heads growing from the seafloor resemble the plants in a garden. They can vary in color and size depending on the species. As you may have noticed from my dive watch, the shipwreck is sitting at just under 42 feet deep. Let's take a look inside. And yes, I'm still checking to see if I can find that lionfish. As I swim away from this wreck and head west, swimming further from shore, I find these concrete balls. I later found out these are remnants from an old underwater lab. Comprised of 2 large cylinders connected by a spear in the center. Forgive me if I mispronounce this, but the Aegir, as it's named, was originally brought from Hawaii to replace a NOAA hydro lab located in Salt River, but was moved to Butler Bay after funding was lost. From 1977 to 1985, scientists from all over the world would live for 7 days underwater in the hydro lab and conduct scientific research underwater. The hydro lab was the only scientific marine laboratory in the world and served as the underwater residence for researchers. Approximately 80 missions were conducted from the hydro lab in Saltwater Bay, St Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. The Aegir was one of the first habitats to include ballast tanks so it could raise and lower itself. This portion of the Aegir was permanently sunk as an artificial wreck at Butler Bay, where divers are able to visit it. Think about how cool it would have been to be able to see this in action. Still crawling with barracuda. In the distance, another wreck. I'm on a roll today. Less than 100 feet away sits this flat oil barge, the Virgin Islander. Maybe I didn't do the best job at retying this band underwater. Good spot, Mr. Lionfish. Just out of my reach. It's all good. You win this round, but we'll meet again. As I venture out further into deeper waters, there's no consistent reef presence, but I'm sure I can find some invasive critters in these patch reefs. Meet the southern stingray, found in tropical and subtropical waters of the western Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. These bottom dwellers are masters of camouflage, often burying themselves in the sand to avoid predators. If threatened, they can use the venomous barbs on their tail for protection. Have you ever spotted one of these creatures in the wild? I very rarely see any lobster on my dives here in St. Croix, so I'm without a lobster snare. But not to worry. These gloves were made for wrangling lobsters. Lionfish like structure, and that makes the reefs of St. Croix the perfect habitat for them. I'm starting to run low on air and I still have quite a swim in front of me to get back to shore. Let's get moving. So I noticed this fish thought it would just mosey on by me. I almost didn't see it. Now we've got a mackerel on the line. I'm always wary about hitting mackerel because their flesh is so soft. If you don't stone them and they get a chance to fight the line, which they always do, they will literally rip themselves off. This shot was in the center of the body, so chances of that happening this time are pretty low. We've got a mackerel, a few lionfish, and a lobster. I'd say job well done. If you're still here and enjoying this content, please do me a favor and hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. And share the adventure with a friend. Oh, barracuda coming in hot. My camera was off at the time, but the barracuda increased my awareness and suddenly this guy showed up. Not usually a problem, but fresh fish can sometimes get these guys excited. They usually keep their distance, but this one seems bolder than most. The fish is in hand on a stringer that can easily be released if need be. But I won't go down without a fight. Until he retreats, eyes on shark for the rest of the swim in. I do hope you'll consider joining me on the next dive. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Alright guys, I am back. Gotta go grab the rest of my gear and my catch. Mackerel had a little bit of a run-in with me and my knife. I had to get away from the shark. It's not pretty, but it's gonna taste good.
Hey, check out the next journey. You never know what's going to happen. Click on the video to keep the adventure going. Ease out. Stay salty, my friends.